Alright, how's it going, everybody? This is Ismortah, and this is episode 22, I believe, of my custom campaign Ismortah for Kingdom Death Monster. And we're about to begin Lantern Year 8. I also recall, I'll check that one here in a sec. Lantern Year 8 of the settlement phase. So we have people coming back, returning survivor stuff, and then we'll actually have 2 settlement events. I'll go into why here in a sec. And what I have laid out here is all of my innovations and principles, all of my settlement structures, including this one that I want to make. And these are all the resources I currently have out here. And on top, the gear is gear that I plan on purchasing and stuff I plan on endeavoring. So, let's get to it. Just checking something on Twitch right quick, 1 second. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is episode 22 of Kingdom Death Monster, and this is the beginning of Lantern Year 8, the settlement phase. So for this stream, we're going to show you the entire settlement phase, not including preparing starting survivors, because again, I conclude those in the hunts, during the hunt stream. And then I do story milestones, but I don't do triggered milestones during the settlement phase, because I do triggered milestones actually when they actually happen, whenever that is in the game. Alrighty. So once again, this is the order of events. And what I was referring to is I'm not doing check milestones because I do milestones as they happen, but we will do triggered and scripted story stuff. And departing survivors section is going to happen during the hunt, but we will go through all these steps and then archive for the stream. All right, so first thing is set up everything. So I have, like I said, all the innovations and principles that I have, all of my resources, including stuff that's written on here, that's already in my settlement storage, and all my locations, and then we have all of our characters, gear grids and character sheets. So next thing is survivors return. So we heal the survivors of all of their injuries. But what I'm going to have this is be a twofer from last session is not only I'm going to remove all injuries and all temporary tokens, but then also permanently add any things that people have gained. Meaning we had one person gain a fighting art, we had another person gain and alter multiple disorders. So that's what we're going to log here first. Okay, don't need that. So I've already removed all the temporary tokens. Next, we want to so for returning survivors, we only have 3. That's why I have missing one gear grid, because that person died. So let's see, Emily, we're going to heal damage. She's at 1 insanity and heal damage to the body. And armor was at 3 to head and 1 to waist. Got it. Next up was Eve, who has 3 to head, 1 to waist, took no damage, has 1 insanity, and learned the ability fighting art crazed. Which, if you remember, was one that I had one of my early characters in this campaign who passed away and didn't share it. So, perfect hit. +1 insanity. Okay. So that means now I can archive this, so if this comes up for some reason during this phase, it's a valid thing that can be earned. And lastly, Elcor. So Elcor now is actually a specialist in this token, in Mace, which means when attacking with a club, on a perfect hit, which is a natural lantern, double your wound attempt total on the first selected hit location. Meaning, whatever my total is for my toughness value, my strength value, I double it. Determine if I get past the toughness of the person. Alright, so Elcor is at 1 insanity, heal damage to the body, armor-wise, took damage all over the place, actually. So should be at 2 on everywhere. 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2. And heals damage done to his brain. Keeps insanity, but it's like mental damage. Alright, so everybody's good. Oh, so now last thing, I need to add these 3 disorders that he finally settled with. So he is going to skip the next hunt because the first one he has is post-traumatic stress. That he skips the next settlement phase. Oh, I didn't read all the stuff in this. He also cannot contribute or participate in any endeavors during this settlement phase. That's actually a bigger blow than I thought. Because before, for every person that comes back, you get 1 endeavor, one of these. But I only had 3 people come back, so that means I only get 3, right? But then Elcor has Tinker, which means he gets +1 endeavor when he's a returning survivor, which is true, so that means I would have 4. But because he has post-traumatic stress, he doesn't contribute anything, so that means actually I only have 2 endeavors. Oh, that really changes things, actually. So actually, when I get endeavors, I'll actually only get 2 because he's got post-traumatic stress. Fortunately, though, this only affects. This is a disorder that's actually not a bad one. It only affects you during 1 phase, whereas other disorders have a permanent effect. This is just no endeavor or hunt for 1L. Okay, so that's post-traumatic stress. Next up is Rageaholic. Or Rageholic. Whenever it gets a severe injury, also gets Brain Frenzy. And Frenzy is a particular effect you get from the brain trauma table, which is actually good and bad. You can't spend survival, but then you get bonuses that you can cancel slow, and you get a bonus to speed and strength. So it's good, but you gotta take into account that you can't spend any survival. And it also has Immortal. Cannot spend survival while insane. And I think I've seen both versions of this. Like, I've seen one that said you can only spend survival if insane, and I've seen one that says you cannot spend survival if insane. All right, so that's all of the stuff. So all of these now are valid, are archived. So if we draw a fighting art or disorder during settlement phase, these are all valid targets. I'm just not gonna add them to the deck unless it comes up, because that would be more shuffling. Okay, so we healed all damage, removed all temporary tokens. Next, we gain endeavors. So we only get 2 endeavors, again, because we would have got 4, one person died, but Elcor gets 2, but because he has post-traumatic stress, he doesn't contribute. So only 2 people contribute. So we only get 2 endeavors. Okay. Next, we update the timeline. So we are beginning Lantern Year 8. And then we do any story events. And for the record, when this says update death count, I do that as it happens, so I don't forget. So we've already updated death count to 5, the population to 11, indicated that Snahavian died on the settlement sheet and the character sheet. And the character sheet is now not one of the active ones. Alright, so now we do story events. So for this, there are 2 settlement events, as well as at least 1 milestone event. Alright, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do the random one first. Because they want you to do some events and then story events. So I'm going to do the random one first, because that's the one we were going to get. And then I'll do the one that was triggered, which was murder. And then I'll do the story event Hooded Knight. And that's what's currently planned, but if other stuff comes up, then boom. Cool. Alright, so the first one, this is the random event, is Haunted. And I will show this to you. I don't believe I've seen this one before. And don't worry about trying to read this, I'm going to read it to you. Basically, there's a story event, stuff happens, and then stuff happens depending on what you roll. Okay, so this is Haunted. The survivor with the lowest hunt experience, choose in case of a tie, is convinced a powerful presence is nearby. The survivor with the lowest hunt experience. Now, it didn't say returning survivor. So I'm assuming then I can do anyone in my settlement. But let me check the wording on that. Does the population is how many people you have, but maybe the population means how many survivors. So let me see if I can get a little bit of clarity on that. Otherwise, how I'm going to roll it is, because it's some event, the person with the lowest hunt experience in the civilization is what I'm going to do, which actually be tied for a lot of people. So let's see here. No. See, it looks like it's using the word survivor for what you call anybody in your civilization. You don't say, like a citizen, you say survivor. Whereas people that are coming back from hunt are called returning survivors, and people leaving are called departing survivors, or arriving survivors. Now the other question is, does this only target one person? Choose in case of a tie. Okay, so one person. Okay, we'll just rule it that way. That's fine. That is fine. So the person with the lowest hunt experience. Obviously, it's going to be no one that went out, because they all have a lot of hunt experience. So let's see. Timothy has some. Oko has some. Volva has some. So these 3 have hunt experience. These 2 do not. Valerie doesn't. Gora doesn't. Isma does. The fact that I could choose in case of a tie, I would say the person who's haunted is probably one of the people that's being a battery for the civilization. In this case, I mean, it's a person that how they contribute is by giving up their sanity or physical attributes for the settlement. So I'll do one of those two. That'd be more thematic because it's someone that's just sitting there and just suffering mentally or physically. In spirit of it being, well, today, Friday the 13th. Happy Friday the 13th. Let's do Gora. There may be Gore. We'll do that. We will nominate Gora, who's a female who has a bunch of fighting arts, a bunch of disorders, and -1 to all stats except strength. Okay. So let me write down the settlement events. So we had murder. I mean, we will have murder. We have haunted. And then we'll figure out later what type of animal we're going to do. Quarry. Okay, so we nominated Gora. The survivor with the lowest hunt experience, choose case of a tie, is convinced a powerful presence is nearby. Roll a d10. Okay. Oh my god. In case you can't see what I rolled, I should be sure you can tell by my sound of my voice. I rolled a natural 1. It didn't focus, it's a 1. So it's going to be the absolute worst outcome, potentially. Typically 1 is the worst outcome and 10 is the best, but sometimes higher numbers mean the opposite. It all depends. Okay. The survivor panics and zealously preaches that they are not alone in the settlement. No one can spend endeavor or innovate this settlement phase. You may avoid this by exiling the ranting nominated survivor into the darkness, killing them. Wow, so this is... Teddy, man, as of late, these settlement phases have actually been worse for the settlement than the hunts themselves. Or showdowns. The settlement has been what's nuking me the last 2 Lantern years, including this one. So we had 4 endeavors, and then we went down to 2, and now we're saying that we can't spend any. We can't spend endeavors, and we can't innovate. Which is a blow, only because in order to get the majority of this gear that I'm planning on, I have to innovate and make the stone circle. I do not have this facility. I have all the other ones. So that's terrible. Not good. And it's also not good to be hoarding on the resources, because if something happens, then you have to give up those resources. So I kind of like want to have a little bit, but use what I get. Besides, the reason why I want to power up now is because I potentially want to fight level 2 Screaming Antelope even this hunt. So again, what the said was is the survivor panics and zealously preaches that they are not alone in the settlement. No one can spend endeavor or innovate this settlement phase. You may avoid this by exiling the ranting nominated survivor into darkness, killing them. So again, this was Gora, who has last man standing and unconscious fighter. The reason why I say those is because those are fighting arts that would be great to share with the settlement. But fortunately, he's a battery. She's a battery and can be she's already been used for the good of the settlement, and this is gonna be a fun rack. Like, we can't waste a turn. Like, we're most likely not going to innovate anyway, because I really want to get this stuff now so I can do a level 2, but we definitely need to innovate. We can't waste a Lantern Year, that's for sure. And it's also like we can't spend any endeavors. I mean, that's a problem. Okay, so you may avoid this by exiling the ranting nominated survivor into the darkness, killing them. So that's what's going to happen. We're going to exile Gora. So it's going to count as a death, and it's going to count against the population. But because the person's exiled, it doesn't count for the death trait of Ismortah religion, and the dark trait of Ismortah religion, meaning I can get stats if somebody dies because they just exiled, they don't die. And it doesn't count toward cannibalism because no body. So basically, in Kingdom Death Monster, when you say death count, you just mean how many people have you lost. And population, what's the current population? Okay, so we're going to exile Gora. So I'll write here what happened to Gora. I'll say panicked. I'll say picnicked. Panicked from, I'll say the hunt event. That sounds like Betrayal, House on the Hill. Panicked from haunted SE, exiled into the darkness. And this is very interesting because, again, the whole reason I lost Snahavium in the last showdown was because she was just screaming and acting frantic and eventually ran into the darkness. And now this person is screaming and ranting, and we by choice had to send him into the darkness. So it's like we're losing people into the darkness because they're losing their minds, and that seems to be a trend now. So that's not good. But in both cases, it was we lost 2 people to darkness, but for 2 different reasons. The first one was because just being terrified from the wail of the dead screaming antelope who died, and so we stripped her, and she ran off as a manic. Whereas in this case, we forcefully had someone go into darkness because they're toxic to the settlement. Alright, so put an X by Gora. X by Gora. Reduce the population is now going to 10. And the death count now is 6. But I also flag, because death count really just means they left civilization. So when I fill in the box at the top, that means they died, unless I put something right above it. Like, I put an E, meaning they were exiled, and I put a V above this one, and I already forget what that meant. Why did I put V? God, I can't even think now. That was for Snahavium, because she left into darkness, but I don't know, why did I put a V? I don't even remember what that stands for. I'll just put E. They were both exiled. Oh, vanished. That's what it is. She vanished in the darkness. The other one was exiled. Yeah. Got it. Cool. So we've updated the death count. Gore is dead. Well, in manner of speaking. But we avoided not being able to do stuff the settlement phase with endeavors, which is good. That would impede the plan. Okay, and that's it for haunted. So we got rid of somebody who was spooking everybody. But remember, that was only the random event. Now we have another settlement event that happens on top of that. So the suffering is not over. Let me get just a little swig of water. All right. All right. So we did haunted. Now the next one we have is murder, which we kind of already did to someone, in a matter of speaking. Okay, murder. I'll show you a picture of it. Definitely all the pictures you see on the left-hand side, not happy people. Similar thing, there's a story event, and then I roll to see what happens. Murder. Someone in the settlement has been murdered. The survivor with the highest hunt experience is the victim. I mean, first we killed someone with the lowest hunt experience. Now someone's not going to be killed with the most hunt experience. Like, people, man, this is not good. Our population is getting pretty low, only because not all of our population are people that can go out onto the hunts. So it's like, shit. All right, someone in the settlement has been murdered. Sorry. The survivor with the highest hunt experience is the victim. They are dead. Now, one thing I want to check, though, is it said there was special targeting rules because of the person with hungry marrow, which is Timothy. So let me see what that means again. Let's say I had here target for murder. So I'm just going to verify that. So I believe because he was a skull eater that they want to say that he was the person that murdered someone in the party. But I just want to check the wordage again to make sure. So that was skull eater. When the murder or skull eater settlement events are drawn, this survivor is nominated. Wait a minute. Nominated for what, though? Yeah, I'm trying to determine nominated for what. So the Skull Eater, I'm assuming, murdered somebody. So I think that what this is trying to say is the person with the most hunt experience dies, and then they say the survivor with the highest insanity was caught in the act. But in this case, it's the person that was eating skulls. Okay, that's how we're going to play it. All right. I think that's what I meant, but it wasn't crystal clear. Okay, so Timothy... Okay, well, first of all, we need to determine who died. Okay, so who has the most hunt experience? I mean, I believe Snahavium actually had the most hunt experience, and she died in the Showdown. So next up, unfortunately, maybe Elcor, who just got the mace, and I was going to share that this settlement phase, but he may very well have the most hunt experience. It looks like he's pretty high. It might be him. Man, we're losing all of our good people. Man, our settlement is like cracking at the seams, man. Shit, man. I think it is Elcor. Yeah. Snahavium would have been tied for most experience, but she already died. Yeah. You had a lot of experienced people die already. I was double checking. I have people at 2, I have people at 3, people at 0. Even Isma only actually has 2 hunt experience. She just has, though, a lot of courage and understanding and other bad things that happen to her. But yeah, I think it looks like it's Elcor. God, fuck, man. Every time I get close to sharing specialization, I get people whacked off. Fucking shit. So close. That would have been a fantastic one, too. Because, like I said, if you get a perfect hit, which doesn't happen all the time, but... not in the cards. Alright, so Elcor is killed. Jesus Christ. Now this is starting to be a problem, because we're losing people with good shit. Man, here he was immortal in that fight. Man, but not immortal in real life. Just in his head. Okay, so let's read this again. The survivor with the highest hunt experience is the victim. So Elcor had 3 courage, 3 understanding, vast hunt experience. He had all these fighting arts, all these disorders. He was like a very knowledgeable fighter and person about the world, and someone just went to him and ate his skull. Because they wanted to be like him, right? Okay, so Elcor is now dead. So let me go ahead and update the death count. But in this case, because the person actually died, traits would be shared. So that we will do. Okay, so Elcor died, so death count now goes to 7. And that was a pure death, so leave it as is. Then Elcor, put an X. Population goes to 9. Man, we desperately need more competent people. Because now if we punish Timothy, that's even less people. Man, we have too many people dying. And too many people that had good stats. I'll say... killed by Timothy, and I'll say and skull was eaten. Okay, so Elcor is now dead. This is not good. And as you know, those are 2 people I had on the hunt. My 2 best people. They're now also dead. Not good. But we did get milestones first. So, we did get endeavors first. So at least we did get, wait, is that right? Hold on a sec. Yeah, we would have had we would have had 0 endeavors. But because we prevented the haunted, now we have 4 endeavors. Because it was 1, 2, 3, 4. And this happened before the settlement event. But now Elcor is dead. But at least we contributed. So we have 4 endeavors. Elcor, it contributed to the showdown. The hunt contributed to the settlement, but is now dead. But we do have the 4. Okay, so I'm sorry, I don't know why this always happens to me. It's because I always have breakfast right before I do this stream. I need to quickly go to the bathroom. So I'll be a few minutes. So what currently happened is we've already lost 2 people during the settlement phase. We lost 1 battery. That wasn't a big deal. But then we lost Elcor. That's a big deal, unfortunately. Hopefully, I had someone else that had some of the good stats that he had, too. Fighting arts, anyway. I may have lost everybody that had a conscious fighter and last man standing. That's entirely possible. I don't know. We'll have to see. So I'm definitely going to be doing endeavors, if we ever get that far, to save some of these arts, fighting arts, that civilization wants to keep. Because we're losing. First, last summit phase, we lost a bunch of resources, and then this summit phase, we've already lost now we're starting to lose people. Not good. Not good. All right, so Elcor was killed. I'm just going to take a couple minute break to use the restroom, and then we'll see what is the fate of Timothy. 1 second, guys. All right, I am back. So, let's see what Timothy's fate is. The murderer, I don't know, I can't say that word. The murderer, God. He who murdered, the murderer. Okay. The murderer, the survivor with the highest insanity, but in this case with Timothy because the Skull Eater, was caught in the act and is awaiting punishment. Select a table that corresponds with the settlement society principle, and then roll a d10. Okay, so do we have a society principle? I don't think we do. Let me see. Society? No. You do principal society when your population reaches 15. And every time we gain population, people die. Yeah. The fact that we gained 4 people, we should have been at population 16, but now we're currently at population 9. We've lost almost half our population. So we currently have no society principle. So because there's no principle, we do the one at the bottom. So let's see what happens. We rolled a 5. Which says, the other survivors in the settlement cannot determine the truth and reluctantly free the accused. This year, departing survivors gain +5 insanity and -2 survival. That's like good and bad. It's good to have insanity because I can have people that don't have any to have some brain protection. But -2 survival, that's going to suck when they depart. So when they arrive, you know, they'll get some back from stone noses. So I still have a way to mitigate. But, all right. The survivors, like, we just don't know what the hell happened. It's like, should he be killed? I mean, well, no, it says here he was caught in the act. But we can't determine whether there was a just cause or not. Because Altcore was pretty insane himself with all these disorders. So, alright. So I'm going to leave this out just as a reminder because there's a lot of stats that affect. So I'll leave this out as a reminder that we need to do something. With a 5, that way I remember. Okay. Alright, and the story ain't over yet. So Timothy avoided judgment. And honestly, most likely, is probably be coming on next hunt just because I'm running out of people. Okay, but we still got more story time. Next, we do the story event, Hooded Knight. So we've had a murder, we've had an exile, and now we're going to be visited by this hooded person again. Which, if you remember last time, was very bad for Isma, so we'll see what happens to her. Okay, Hooded Knight. Bloody stone floor, which what looks like Twilight swords. And we will see what happens. So, Hooded Knight. A stranger emerges from the darkness. If any survivor has the Twilight Sword, they duel the knight. So this is where it gets complicated. Because, well, I guess, okay. Well, let me check the ruling. Because to count as having the Twilight Sword, then on their theoretical gear grid, like every survivor technically has their own gear grid, the Twilight Sword is a cursed weapon, so it's permanently on Isma. Okay? Um, but because she has a dismembered arm, she can never use the weapon. So I think what happens is she keeps the weapon on her person, but she just can't use it because she only has one arm, so she can't lift it. So, but she still has it. I believe that's how it's going to be rolled. Okay. If any survivor has the Twilight Sword, they duel the knight. Okay, so the Hooded Knight confronts the bearer of the Twilight Sword. They roll on the table, add +1 to the result for each Twilight Sword weapon proficiency level. So unfortunately, her weapon proficiency can never go up because she can never use the sword. So she just has her base bonus of whatever that is. Proficiency level. Let's see here. Isma's proficiency level with Twilight Sword is 4, but it'll never go up ever again. But it's 4. Add +1 to the result for each Twilight Sword weapon proficiency level. Okay, so we rolled a 4 plus 4 is an 8. Gain one level of weapon proficiency. Lose all survival. You cannot gain survival this settlement phase. The knight has unfinished business. Meaning he'll come back another 4 years from now. Okay, so she gains 1 proficiency level. Miraculously, she didn't get killed. Last time she got maimed. This time, she just gains a proficiency. How she dueled off somebody when she came pick up the Twilight Sword is beyond me. Because she has the Twilight Sword, she just can't use it. It's in her gear grid. Alright, so her weapon proficiency goes to 5. So she's 3 away from Master. And then she loses... loses all survival. Okay. And can't do anything to summon phase, but doesn't matter, she never does it anyway. Okay. So, fortunately that was uneventful for the Hooded Knight, but will come back 4 Lantern years from now. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. So during the principal conviction, we will also get visited by the Hooded Knight again. Alright, so that is all the milestone stuff. Next up is... we already did death count. We do milestones as they happen. So now we can endeavor and develop stuff. Alright. So... I know, like I said, I definitely want to endeavor to make the stone circle. And I know I want to do endeavors for the rest of them for sharing traits. But the new problem now is, since we lost another really good person, is we're getting really low on our population as far as people that can actually go out and hunt. I mean, let's see how many people we have. Because we lost Snahavium, and then we lost Elkor. 2, like, really good people. Our best people, actually. Alright, so all of these people are dead. And then we have Isma, who we can't use because she's so maimed. Valerie is apathetic, so can't gain survival or use it. So in a worst case scenario, I could have her go out, but she can't use or gain survival. So it is possible that I could have one of the people that apathetic go out and just have frenzy drink. Because with frenzy drink, you can't spend survival anyway. Just as a way as for someone to have more attack and more strength. More attack speed and more strength. I could do that. But I have, like, she's apathetic, and Volva is apathetic. So then it leaves, I believe, 4 people that we can use. So I have 6 people that can be competent fighters, and 2 that could fight but have problems. And Ismortah can't fight because she's so maimed physically. So technically I have 8 people that could fight. Ideal people, we have 6. So it's not terrible. But I'm saying that because we could possibly try intimacy again to get another person. Because if our population goes to 0, we lose. And if Isma's the last character in the civilization and she dies, we lose. I definitely want to share some of these fighting arts before I have more people dying and lose them forever. First of all. And one of the things I want to share is Red Fist with more people before I lose my last people that have it. So I want to share some disorders. I want to share Red Fist again, and I would like to share something like Extra Sense. The Bleed one was kind of a good one too. So I could just share all shadow rituals, but the problem is whoever I do it on will also get a disorder. That's why I typically use the people that have the batteries. That way make them worse and worse and worse while enriching civilization. Is the idea there? Yeah. But I'll do the disorders last. I'll do the other endeavors last because I don't know how many times I want to do it. Plus, there's other places I can endeavor. Like, I could innovate. I'm just leaning toward not doing that because I need these resources, these materials as soon as possible because I want to possibly fight a level 2 Screaming Antelope. And I could do bloodletting, but people are going to get insanity anyway, and it's a low chance that can remove the disorder, but it is possible. So I think I'll hold on to that for the time being. Face painting's interesting. It's got a couple places I can endeavor. Like if I can do battle paint, I give people more insanity, more survival to make up for the loss. Or I can have bonus rolls on intimacy. But I desperately need to, I definitely want to increase population, but right now it's like I need people to have these good abilities. Especially if I want to do level 2. So, but I'm not against doing battle paint, trying that. So maybe I'll try 1 battle paint, make the stone circle, and then share 2, and then do 2 shadow rituals. And target the batteries to be the offering for those. I think I'll do that. Okay. But I'll do this stuff first. Just because I've been trying to do it for 2 Lantern years now. Alright, so we're going to spend our first endeavor on making a stone circle. So that costs 3 organs, 1 hide, and 1 endeavor. So I got 2 beefsteaks, 1 monster organ, and a monster hide. Okay, so that's archived. Alright, so now we have a stone circle, which basically is similar to the Catarium, allows us to make Screaming Antelope stuff. Unique to that animal. And a majority of this, actually everything with the exception of the skullcap hammers, is going to be from the stone circle. The skullcap hammers are made from the weapon crafter. Alright, so now let's make stuff. So, first off, I want to try to complete as much as I can of the Screaming Antelope gear, which I can make 4 or 5 pieces. Alright, so we're going to spend a horn and a scrap. I use a broken lantern from storage to make a Screaming Horns. Actually, that's correct. Yep. Screaming Horns adds 3 to head. In addition to has an ability that I can scream, that I can give insane people 1 movement or give people insanity. Next, I'm going to make the Screaming Coat, which costs 1 pelt and 1 bone. So I use a monster bone here. And the pelt to make the Screaming Coat, which adds 2 to defense, but then also gives me the ability to slam as an action, as a movement. Instead of moving, you can slam, which is a full move forward in a straight line. But then if you move 4+ spaces and stop adjacent to a monster, it gets knocked back 1 and -1 toughness. And when it gets knocked back 1, they're also knocked down, which means I hit on a 3+. So a lot of good stuff out of this. Next up is the Screaming skirt, that costs 1 pelt. So I use a pelt from storage. The Screaming skirt has 3 defense and also allows me to give a bonus +1 when rolling on the severe waist injury. All right. And then next up from the stone circle is the Screaming leg warmers, which costs a pelt and a hide. So I use the last pelt that I have in storage. And a hide. This adds 2 to armor, and on arrival, I get 3 insanity. Okay. I would make the last piece of Screaming Antelope gear, but I just need an additional hide, which I don't have. I have a pelt, which is the rare piece, but now I just need another hide of any type, so I'll get that next time. I don't have any more hides in my inventory. Okay, next up I'm going to make is the Boss Mendy, which costs a golden whisker and a bone. And I got a golden whisker from back in the day as a cat piece. So I'll erase that from storage. And the monster bone to make a Boss Mendy, which is like a wrapping around your hand. And it says, "Boss is brave. While adjacent to you, insane survivors gain +1 speed." So this is really good. Because that means, like, for example, I can have my spear person attack at range, and then someone can move adjacent between him and the monster, and then get a bonus to their speed, just by being adjacent, which is pretty cool. And speed means you have more attack rolls, so more potential hits, or opportunities to hit. Next up, I'm going to be making Screaming Screaming Brain. I would be making blood paint, which requires a bladder, which I have in storage, an organ, which I have here, Screaming Brain, as well as you need to have paint innovated, which I do. I know how to paint and face paint. So this is more paint. All right, so I'm erasing the bladder from storage. And we're going to make blood paint. Why am I making this? Blood paint allows me, as an action, to activate 2 weapons instead of just 1. So it allows me to do 2 attacks. It's like having Surge without spending Surge. This allows me to use 2 weapons that are one-handed per attack, which is super awesome. That's like 2 attacks in 1. And then the last thing I'm going to make is 2 skull cap hammers, which each costs 1 scrap and 2 bones. So each of these have a bone there, and then I need 2 additional bones and 2 additional scraps. So the last things I have in storage is a broken lantern and an iron ore, which I'll use for scraps, and a great cat bone and spiral horn, which I'll use for bones. So now I have absolutely nothing in storage that was there previously. Okay. But we made 2 skull cap hammers. Why did I make 2 hammers? Well, it's kind of leading because I showed you blood paint. With 2 hammers, that means this person can attack with both hammers in 1 turn. Okay, that's cool. But why did I decide to do a skull cap hammer when I already had a bone club, which counts as a club? Because this also counts as a club. Well, because, first of all, it has a decent profile, 273, it's pretty standard. But on a perfect hit, the monster is dazed and gains a -1 speed token until the end of its turn. And a monster can only be dazed once per round. So what does that mean? That means if I do a shit ton of swings with the skull cap hammer, I have a pretty good chance of at least getting 1 perfect hit. If I at least get 1 perfect hit, it doesn't even matter if I wound or not with this person. The idea is I can always have it so every round the monster's profile is -1 speed. So that's like a free dodge every time the monster attacks. Every time they do an attack, it's -1 speed. So if their speed is 1, it would be 0. So that was the strategy behind this. It's not only is it a better attack than attacking with just a bow, but then it can also nerf the monster. And the idea is that I'm going to give the bow actually the person with the club. Because since this person's cumbersome anyway, at least in close cumbersome, they do monster damage. And if they're cumbersome far away, they can shoot the bow. So I have better attack, better offense, and then here, better defense is the idea. Cool. And the idea is since I have so much more strength that maybe I could do a level 2 antelope. Because I really want to be in a good place to be before the Kingsman fight, which is coming up on scheduled events. Okay. So we made stuff. Now all I have left in storage is a fresh acanthus, nightmare tick, and a pelt, which translation is an herb, a vermin, and a hide. So it is interesting that I could do a level 2. I could, if I wait on level 2 White Lion, once I complete level 2 Screaming Antelope, once you complete the Antelope set, not only do you get an empowered slam, that's better, because you also have the ability to skewer after you slam, which is an effect, but also you get +2 to all armor, not just 1. which is really powerful. So that means that, for example, look at this, it'd be armor 5, 4, 5, 4. It's really powerful. But it may not be necessary, because this is already a lot of hit points. And the idea is, the idea here is, if I can prevent attacks by the skullcap hammer, and then I could do more, and then I have more effective combat with hammers and some with the club and the bow, I have more offense, and by having 3 people with sets of gear, not just 2, I have better defense. So that's sort of the idea. That's what I was thinking about. I could do a level 2 antelope. Haven't committed yet, but that's the idea. Okay, so what is next? So we bought stuff, now we have other things that I want to endeavor. Okay, so I want to definitely, like you really should innovate every time. I just really wanted to get this gear while I had it, because I had a lot of rare pieces I wanted to offload before I lost it. But to be fair, it's not like we didn't make something for civilization. Yes, we didn't innovate, but we did make another building, which added high value, right? All right, so now I have 3 left. So I want to do Shadow Ritual twice, and then I forgot what the other one I was going to do. Oh yeah, it was doing a battle paint. Sure. Since we're going to do blood paint, we'll definitely do that for sure. We will do that. Alright, so since we're going to do Shadow Ritual twice, that means people are going to get disorders. So I'm going to reshuffle the disorder deck. Alright. There will be more disorder. It'll be 0 risk because of the disorders I'm putting on people that called my batteries anyway. But I'm just really worried that I'm losing people that have these powerful stuff, and now I have naked people with no advantages from the civilization. So I want to sacrifice the few for the many, as you would say. And you're like, why would I do a level 2 Screaming Antelope? Because all it is, it's hard to kill and more dangerous. Because you get more resources, that's really the main reason. If you get resources faster, then you can make sure you can always innovate. And then you can make sure that you can upgrade these expensive buildings, and then also afford from the more expensive buildings getting better quality stuff with all this value. But it's true, I also don't have to. I don't have to. I could wait until I have the bonus armor for at least on this person. I could. It just, when you do a level 2, you get way more resources. And if you do that over a period of multiple hunts, it's like you're getting free hunts of gear. I remember there was one lantern year that I effectively lost entire hunt's worth of resources. I lost 12 resources. So it's also a way that I want to catch up by doing level 2. This is the idea. I'm just shuffling that disorder deck one more time, because we're gonna have at least 2 disorders, because we're doing 2 rituals. 2 shadow rituals is what I added to my settlement, which was not a card. It was a unique addition I made from my Ismortah religion the fact that I added the light trait, the balance trait, the dark trait, and the shadow ritual endeavor. In addition to also having Isma, who was borrowing the Twilight Knight in training modification in the back of KDM book, except even that one I modified because I made it less punishing. The fact I said you don't have to take her into every battle, and you don't instantly lose if she dies. I say if she dies, instead you put -1 on all permanent stats on 3 people that are survivors. To sustain our life force, in a sense. Okay, cool. So we are ready with the disorder deck. So let's get to it. Alright, so for the first shadow ritual, and again, you can only have one person endeavor. You can only have one survivor endeavor per summit phase, so it's got to be 2 different batteries. So the most important one I want to share is Red Fist, because I'm worried about losing it. And then another one is the dodge one, Extra Sense. I just don't know if one of my batteries has Extra Sense. Doesn't look like it. Of course, Oko and Timothy both have it. Does anyone else have it? Extra Sense? No. Plus, whoever does it also skips the next hunt also, because they're mentally drained. Yeah, it looks like none of my batteries have it, actually. Timothy has it. Oko has it. I would really like to have one of the batteries have it, to be honest. That way, in case people die, I have people that I can give it to, sort of thing. Mighty Strike's pretty good too. On a perfect hit, get +2 attack. So if I get a perfect hit with the hammer, because I'm rolling so many hits, you get +2. That's actually really good too. That's a good option too. I could force Timothy to do it because he's a fucking prick. I mean, he's got good stats though, but he's a fucking prick. I'd hate him to get a terrible disorder though. Only because I'm running out of people. Which means I may not be able to share Extra Sense anymore, just because I don't want to risk one of them right now getting a terrible disorder, because I may not be able to cure it. So, but I need someone to go out that has Red Fist. Oh, Volva does have Extra Sense. Oh, I don't know why I missed this. Oh, staying alive. So I'll share Red Fist on Valerie and Extra Sense on Volva. That is what I'm going to do. Okay. So, what does that mean? My first endeavor, second endeavor, I'm going to use on Volva, and she's going to get a random disorder and has to skip the next hunt, which I'll circle in, and gets a random disorder. She gets honorable. You believe in honor and fairness when conducting yourself on the battlefield. It is these strong principles that have kept you alive. And you will not abandon them for any circumstances. You cannot attack a monster from its blind spot or if it is knocked down. So, write that on here. attack BS or KD. Okay, so she got honorable, and then I'll have to reshuffle that deck because it's immediately archived. No, I'll archive it later. It's fine. Okay, so now she's gonna share red fit. She's gonna share extra sense with 3 people, which allows you to do the dodge action twice. So if something gets really, if you have a really bad hit, you can go bop bop. Okay. So she's a battery, so she's fine. So I'm gonna share it with 3 competent people. So I will give it to Emily, I will give it to Eve, and then I'll give it to one of these people. Yeah. I'll give it to Emily, Eve, and Adam. Is that one doing? Sure. Okay, so we got extra sense, 2x dodge per round. Okay, that's 1. And then Emily gets it. $2x dodge per round. And again, if you're critiquing what I'm doing, it's a custom campaign, so that's what custom means. I changed some of the roles so it fits immersion, and I added my new a religion to the game just to give it a new flair, so I'm not playing the same game twice before I get the new expansions. So I play for fun. If the game wasn't fun, I wouldn't play it. And I'm not talking about the death, gore, sex, and stuff, but it's just like, I play the game because I think it's interesting. So if it's not interesting, I'm not going to play it. So the fact that I do stuff to make it more interesting is actually a good thing. That's actually why, for example, the Gambler's Box has more settlement stuff, because that's what was interesting about the game. The game is about settlement, the civilization, not the individual. Yet a lot of things you do to make yourself better late game is attached to the individual, which is kind of doesn't support the logic of the game. Okay, so I added, so that was Volva. My next endeavor is going to be from Valerie, who's going to share Red Fist. So she's going to skip her next hunt, which of course she always will because she's a battery. And she's going to gain another disorder, which is Monster Panic. Monsters make you feel bad. Really, really bad. Whenever you suffer brain damage from an Intimidate action, suffer 1 additional brain damage. That's new. I've not seen that one before. And that one's also not terrible. I mean, it's bad, but it's not like character breaking. So that's interesting. Meaning, if someone had Monster Panic, I would still send them out on a hunt. That's what I mean. Whereas if someone's apathetic, that makes them a supreme liability. The fact that they can't use survival. That means you can't use survival offensively or defensively. See, that's a huge problem. But can I send them out to do battle? Sure. It just, well, they just have a higher chance of not being effective in combat or dying, is the thing. Okay, so Monster Panic is when intimidated +1 brain damage, BD. Okay, so that's Valerie. And now we're sharing Red Fist with 3 people. So, and I want that to be even more spread. Like, not have on the active group, but spread, because I want to make sure I keep it in population in case bad shit happens. So I'm going to keep it totally spread. So I'll put 1 on Emily, because she see here. Especially somebody with 0. So I'll definitely gonna put on Samantha. Oko already has 3. I could put 1 on Timothy. And then I could also put 1 on, I was thinking Emily. We'll do that. Because all you need to do is have 1 person in your party when you arrive, and everybody gets it. So that's why I want to keep it spread. So I don't need everyone in the party to have it. I just need to have it so if someone in that party dies that had it, there's someone else that can join the party that can re-give that bonus. Okay, so Red Fist, again, that's what? A lot of stats, actually. It's the fact that you can spend, you get a +1 token, you can spend a survival, and all survivors get a +1 token. Okay. So we got Red Fist. SD each survivor +1 STG token. And then also can spend STG tokens for survival. Okay. And then I give that to Timothy. Who is a jerk and killed one of my most powerful people, but you know what? That's also a reason then why you should have it. Because I want the people that are the most noble and the craziest to have it. Because that way, if the crazy people come victorious, we still have it. If there's mutiny and the sane people are victorious, the sane people still have it. The whole idea is I need to keep it in civilization. Because we spent so much resources innovating it and then celebrating it. We need to keep it. We need to keep the technology. It's huge. Huge. Red Fist can spend tokens for survival, and SD each survival. And the reason I'm writing here is so I don't have to keep referencing the card, because the card has to be in the deck so other people can potentially get it. Okay, I just have 1 more to do. And then I'll do my last endeavor, which is most likely the battle paint, and then that'll be it. And then can spend STG token for survival. And the reason why it says tokens is because if you do stuff like Frenzy Drink or other means, they get additional +1 strength tokens. You can then weaponize those. Which then means, for example, with the person that has Frenzy Drink can spend a strength token in place of survival. Meaning, the people that are apathetic, or worst case scenario, if I have Frenzy Drink, they would actually have 2 survival. Because they'd get +1 from Red Fist and then +1 from the Frenzy Drink. Bada bing, bada boom. Alright, so we did 2 Shadow Rituals. We shared Red Fist, and we shared Extra Sense. So people have more dodge, and which counts as. And then you have more strength tokens, which you can spend on dodge. So people have more defensive capabilities. That's the idea here. Cool. So we have 1 left. So for the 1 left, I'm going to try to counteract the issues we had with having no society principle. That way people go out with more survival and more insanity. I mean, they're already going out with more insanity, but they'll get even more insanity. Like I said, having insanity is a good thing. And you want to have enough so you always stay insane. But having too much insanity is a bad thing. You want to overcome your fears, but you don't want to become the fear. Okay. So for our last thing, again, we're not going to innovate just because we don't have the resources. The fact we have such a low population or people that can go out, we really need to make sure that we can survive, as well as do things that earn more value. That way we can up our stuff even more. Like making a leather crafter for instance, or doing level 2 monsters and having the gear to do so. And make sure we have a stockpile so we can always innovate. Or if we start doing the bigger weapons, they could be more expensive. So if I want to gear people out at the same speed that I did before, I need to earn more materials to do it. Okay, so the last thing we're going to endeavor is battle paint. And we rolled a 10. Great. Death Paint Ceremony. Departing survivors get +2 survival and +1 insanity. So this counteracts murder, which said we had -2 survival. So that means people going out just get +6 insanity. Is the total there. But I'll keep it there so I do the math when I go out. But we're not doing the departing stuff again until the hunt video, which will be the one after this. Cool. So I believe that's it. So we've endeavored, we made stuff, and the settlement phase was rough, but not too rough. But you know what? We forgot one thing. We've got one thing, which I almost forgot, which was we exiled one person. So we updated the death toll and population, sure. But then Eltkor was killed. And since he's killed, that means we can cannibalize the body. And then we can also do the dark trait of our religion to give people bonus stats. So that's the last thing we're going to do. Almost forgot. So cannibalism. Whenever a survivor dies, draw 1 basic resource. So we get a resource, which I put way over there. And we got a broken lantern, actually. All right, so we got a lantern. In addition, up to 3 people that were part of that witnessed the death get a +1 permanent stat. Now this is tricky because normally how I have it is if you witness supreme light or supreme darkness, that's what you learn from. But nobody saw Eltkor die other than Timothy. So my argument then would be that only one person gets a permanent stat, and it should just be Timothy. And that's what we're going to do for the RP. So it's like he absorbed his life force to learn from it also. So he gets a +1 permanent stat for killing someone in the same tribe. That's great. Okay, so he gets a +1 stat. He's already got +2 accuracy, +2 strength. If he wanted to be more like Eltkor, I would think he'd want to share in his stats, right? So Eltkor had speed, strength, and evasion. And he's got accuracy and strength. So that's well-rounded. I guess it's not... But the fact that he was avoid being caught, maybe I'll give him an evasion point for that. I'll give him +1 evasion. That's what I'll do. Cool. So he got the bonus stat, and we got an extra resource. All right. So now last thing, last thing, almost forgot that, is now we're going to update the storage with this gear, and then that'll be the end. So we're leaving this with just 4 resources in storage. So we have some fresh acanthus, and we got a nightmare tick. That doesn't sound good. And we got a pelt, and we got a broken lantern. Cool. I think it's all we got. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Again, this was the end of the settlement phase. The departing segment on who we're going to send out and with what gear and all that jazz, I'll do during the hunt stream, which will be the stream after this one. Thanks for watching. Again, this is Kingdom Death Monster, my custom campaign. And I'll have episodes for the settlement phase, Nemesis Encounters, Showdowns, and hunts weekly, often multiple times a week. So if you like what you see, watch previous episodes and keep up with new videos. This is Ismortah, and thanks for watching.